How's it going today, everyone? I've got an exciting day today. Finally going to get my 1989 Ford Ranger project back on the road after many years of kind of a restoration project. It's, I guess, exciting for me. I don't know if it's exciting for everyone else, but I can't wait to get it on the road, get a little test drive in, and just see how it plays out. Give you a little kind of tour of this thing. But it's, like I said, a 1989. Used to have a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder in it. Basically now it's got a V8 in it, but this is a truck that I taught myself how to paint on, so there are plenty of flaws in it, but kind of a nice learning experience for me. Basically went through it. I'll kind of show you under the hood here. It's just got a stock 5.0 in it. Nothing fancy, stock heads, stock bottom end, you know, stock intake. Even has a stock 91 Mustang radiator in it. Fits pretty good in here, I guess. Got some headers that I had put on it. Custom made exhaust on it that I did. Basically, this is something that I had taken the bolts and shaved the bolts on the bumper. This fender here I had replaced and painted. Let's see any other panels that I had done. This door, I believe I had replaced the lower door skin on it. The box was a giant mess, basically. Just about every part on the bottom had rusted, so I had replaced, you know, all the way around the wheel well, the bottom panels, welded in all new stuff. I ended up welding the pocket stakes closed on here. I built a little box, toolbox back here. I don't know if I'll necessarily like it, but I did it anyway. Put bed liner in the box. Ended up putting a roll pan on the back, and I even took and put a hideaway license plate here, so that's where my receiver and plug-in is. Same thing on this side. I have all these panels along the bottom replaced, put in. Shaved the emblems off of it, off both side fenders. Ended up putting American Racing Patrol wheels on it. They're 17 by 8.5. It's kind of hard finding I was looking for a 17 by 9 to fit on there, but it was kind of hard to find something that was economical. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on rims necessarily, so this is kind of a nice match. They line up pretty good. I like how the rears fit back there. The front ones could be in maybe just a little bit, half inch or so, but they look pretty good. So this truck used to actually be sandalwood brown. It had like I said, it had a 2.3 liter with a 5-speed in it, and it was sandalwood brown. Just a little daily driver that I had. Gutless as all can be, but it was fun. It was actually one of the first vehicles I ever bought, so it's got a little sentimental value on it. I wanted to end up and buy I always wanted to put a 302 in it or a V8 in it, and kind of thought, well, let's make a little homage to the 1970s Boss 302 Mustang. So that's kind of my theme here. That's why I went with the Grabber Orange. Ford calls it Valencia Orange, or paint code U3. So basically everything is painted orange. Even did a paint color change on the inside. Kind of some custom interior here that I did. Got a B&M hammer shifter. Not sure if I 100% like it just because of the ratcheting, but I ended up finding a good deal on it, so I needed one anyway. basically been a project for a long time. I bought it in, I think, 97 and drove it till like 2006 and ended up buying another truck, and I shut this one down. So it's been 15 plus years, I guess, if I do my math correct. And basically just life gets in the way when you're trying to get a project done, but you know, did a total frame off on basically everything. Started with the frame, put the engine in, started putting the cab on and the fenders and then the box. So it was a pretty long project. I'm just excited to get it back on the road. It's going to be my daily driver, and I'm sure there's going to be some kinks to work out. I didn't quite show it, but this truck came, or still has, a 7.5 rear end in it. So it's probably going to be a little bit light if I ever increase the horsepower. So I already have an 8.8 out of a Ford Ranger that'll fit. I just got to go and clean it up and put gears in it. I want to put disc brakes on it. I have to change this is one bracket, and I got to replace the other one because the shocks don't quite fit underneath, because I ended up putting a fuel cell underneath the box here, so that's where fuel goes in. Otherwise, it's pretty much stock ride height. But yeah, just excited to get it back on the road. Should be a fun daily driver. This thing actually has no power steering. It's got power brakes. When it was a 4-cylinder, it was already light to begin with, so it wasn't that big of a deal with the power steering, but we'll see how it is. I put wider tires on it now, and it's got about probably another 100 pounds under the hood, so it should be fun, like I said, and just excited to get all the kinks worked out of it and just make it a fun daily driver. So let's back it out. So first impressions, the shifter for one, or I shouldn't say the shifter, the TV cable is not adjusted quite right yet, so when I get back I'll have to adjust that just a little bit. My speedometer is way off, maybe doing 50, it shows like 75 right now. Partially it's got different size tires on it. The transmission and the rear end aren't set up, but I want to wait till I get that other rear end in there probably to set it up right. So I'll just have to kind of figure out where each mileage or speed is at, and then just stick with it for a while. Seems to be driving okay. Steering's got some play in it, but it's all stock play in it, and it's many years of wear and tear, but seems to be all right. Seems to be a little doggish, or just like it could be snappier. Part of that probably needs some spark plugs. I'll probably throw some new spark plugs in it. Runs all right though. Yeah, it definitely needs the TV cable adjusted a little bit. Shifted a little bit early. It kind of wants to stay in the higher gear when you get down to lower, when you come up to a stop sign anyway. Little tip for some of you too, when I was dealing with the shifter and the transmission, you know, this shifter is made for an AOD transmission, which is what's in here. And basically I had bought the cable. Don't remember where I got it from, but when I bought the cable, you know, it's hooked up and everything, and it's basically in a U-shaped form when it runs from the shifter down through the floor into the transmission. And but I could never get the adjustment right with the shift lever and everything, and you know, there was always play in it. It would could never get it in a solid gear, and think I had it and it wouldn't work, and basically what I ended up finding, you would stretch the cable straight, it had absolutely no play in it, as it shouldn't. But the minute you put it in a U-shaped form or bend it in a loop or something, then you would have a lot of play in it. And I just couldn't figure that out quite right away, and eventually you figure out that the inside of the housing of that cable is way bigger than what the cable is. So the minute you put it in a loop form, on the loop end of it, you have a lot of play for that cable to slop around in there. So I went through actually a couple cables just to get away from that. So if you ever buy one or have to buy one, make sure you buy a good quality one with tight tolerances, especially if you're going to have it in some sort of loop, or so save you a little bit of trouble anyway. So one little issue I'm having with the truck, I got a little bit of an oil leak on the oil breather on the valve cover. You can see I don't have the factory screw-on cap, it's just an open breather. Basically right here it's collecting just enough oil and stuff where it's dripping down, hitting the headers, sorry. And what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to put a little piece of metal, chrome, stainless steel, whatever you want to put there, just to kind of hold it. Any oil, being it's tipped like this, any oil that runs this way will have to eventually run back down. So basically halfway around I'm going to put a piece there. What I find works pretty good actually is it's just a band clamp. I'll just cut whatever size I need to it, and then I'll end up just gluing that on. Now I'll have to get this real clean in here so the glue sticks, so I'll probably just brake clean it best I can, and I can kind of shove some of it underneath this top and then glue it, and it'll match the top pretty well, which is chromed. That should help keep the oil from running down and dripping that, so anything that collects in there should just run back down inside there. So I just took a little tin snips, cut it out of that band clamp, got the right size, basically formed it, made a little round shape on there. So what I'll do is take this, put some glue on there first, shove it up underneath there a little bit all the way around, and then just kind of run a couple beads of glue, and that's not going to go anywhere. So, and then that should keep basically everything from oil from leaking out, because it'll be tipped like this, so from side to side. So pretty quick little easy thing there, and move on to the next one, I guess. So there you go, all finished up, all glued up. I ended up actually putting that piece on the outside, because when you slipped it underneath, it would be a different diameter on top than it was on the bottom, so it wasn't straight. You can kind of see it's still a little bit off, but for the most part that's going to keep everything, all the oil sitting there. So it'll just sit like that right in the valve cover. I went and pulled the intake tube off right there. You can see this is where the TV cable comes in from transmission. So I'll pull that pin out. What I'll end up doing is pulling this cable this way, and just put a little, I don't have to give it much, but just a little bit, and kind of a little bit at a time, and see if that helps. Otherwise we'll, once we get that done, then I'll start pulling the plugs here, and it's fairly easy to get at, so this shouldn't be too bad of a job. Then we'll take it for another test drive and see what happens. Alright, so I got new plugs in it. Didn't really seem to make a difference, but part of that I think is the ECM is still learning. Before I had it on the road, the farthest it went was in and out of the garage basically. So it was a brand new kind of reman computer, so it still has a little bit of learning to do, but actually been driving it for a couple weeks now, to and from work. Seems to be doing a lot better. So that's pretty much a wrap up on this video. This project has been like a 15-year project, just stuff getting in the way and not getting done, and just taking the time to go through the whole thing and repaint the truck and everything else. Absolutely glad to have it back on the road. I've been wanting to get this thing done for a long time, and even though it's got issues, I still want to get this thing, I wanted to get back on the road and just drive it. I can live with all the little quirks for a while and fix them as I go along, and I gotta have something to do anyway. So but that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, and then I'll be bringing that exhaust comparison video a little bit later, and get to see if that makes a difference or not. So, all right, talk to you next time.